Hey, what's going on? Rosalia here from Psychic Therapy for the Soul. Here with another dream. Okay, so this is fresh out of my mind. I was last night, very close to waking up. It wasn't very long, and it was very odd. It's rare that I have a dream like that. But there's a lot of symbology, a lot of character, a lot of different behaviors in the dream that hold a lot of meaning. So I'm in my home, okay, and that's the first thing here. There's actually a home section in the book, but I remembered it. So I'm in my home, and you know how in a dream your home is often like expanded, like it's bigger than it actually is. You know what I mean? At least in my dream it is. It's the same space, but there's like that wall in the middle, like that wall in the middle right there is like that much longer, and this wall here is like that much longer. So everything's expanded and it looks like I legit live in a mansion. So I'm in my home and there's people in the background, but I don't really recognize them. I'm not really paying attention to them at all, actually. And that might be significant because I wasn't even thinking about that being significant until now. And there are two men with me that I'm communicating with. In my awareness, in the dream, they're living with me. Okay? They're living with me. And I'm cooking, okay, and I make a lot of food. And these men, they're eating my food, okay? They're eating my food. And I become frustrated because I start telling them, you're eating my food, so you're like stealing, like you're eating my food, you're taking my food, but you're not paying rent. You're not paying rent. You're living here, but you're not paying rent. You're coming here and you're eating my food, but you're not eating rent. You're not paying rent. So, I actually end up throwing out my food. Okay. Like I'm throwing out the food into the garbage. And, you know, I've had to do that in real life, like in waking life on a few occasions, because like I made a mistake. Like the other day I put my food on wax paper, I put it in the oven and I baked it, and I didn't realize that it was wax paper, not parchment paper. I actually just had no idea that wax paper couldn't go in the oven, and I had to throw out the food because it was toxic. And then, you know, of course sometimes food goes bad and you have to throw it out, and so inside I know that that's like a sin. You know what I mean? My grandmother would lose her mind. So in the dream, I'm throwing the food out and I'm getting frustrated with these guys, okay? And I'm telling them, you're making me lose focus because I'm throwing out my leftovers because I'm focusing on you guys who are eating my food and not paying rent. So that's the dream. That's it. So I found that kind of really interesting. In the sense that in the dream, the home was also very dark and shadowy. And it kind of looked like the leftovers itself, like I wasn't really connected to the food in the dream, like what the food was. It didn't even look that appetizing, to be honest. But I just ate steel cut oats with mixed berries. And now that I think about it, the food did look like that. It looked like mixed berries with steel cut oats, which I basically have like every morning now. So a few different symbologies in that dream. So these two men, I don't know them. I don't recognize them, so they're considered the unknown man. And when a woman dreams about an unknown man, she's dreaming about the masculine part of herself inside. Okay? So she's dreaming about the masculine part of her inside. And so this masculine part of me inside was stealing, okay? So stealing my food, at least that's my perception, being the thief. And in the dream book, Stealing suggests we are taking something without permission. This may be love, money, or opportunities. If someone steals from us, we may feel cheated. So, and if it's someone we don't know, it is more likely to be a part of ourselves that we don't trust. So I found that like mind blowing. That these two men that are actually the masculine inside me, I, as a feminine energy, do not trust the masculine energy inside of me. And I completely agree with that right now in my current state, in my life, because I've been a little bit impatient. I'm really into sports right now, and I just want to go, play basketball, play soccer. And I think I got some shin splints on my right ankle, right foot, and I've been a little bit impatient because as soon as it stops hurting, I get back into movement, and it's like it's coming up again, and I'm like, damn. So this is my masculine energy inside trying to push me to do that, like to go into sports, and the feminine energy is telling the masculine energy inside me, hey, like, I don't trust you because I'm trying to heal and you're pushing me forward. So that's a big realization for me. Another aspect of this dream that is very interesting to note. So paying rent is actually significant. So I'm telling the guy as he's leaving, and I'm throwing out the food into the garbage, I'm saying to him, look what you made me do. I'm not focused, and I'm throwing out my leftovers because you're not paying rent. That's what I said in my dream. And in this book, paying rent in this dream is considered an independent act. So it's about my independence. So maybe my independence is being threatened or not valued in my eyes, or I'm not treated, or I'm being tested, like my independence could be being tested. But the biggest thing that came to me here was the third option. Paying rent gives this concept of focus, and it's focused on handling money and value. So when I was blaming the masculine energy in the dream for stealing my food, eating my food, and not paying rent, and as a result I cannot focus, I was actually talking to my subconscious masculine self that he is causing me distress to my independence and is keeping me from being focused on my money and my value. Which I found really interesting when I read this part, because yesterday I went to yoga, and today I have this kind of pain in my ankle, and you think that yoga would improve the stability of the foot and it would fix the shins and all that stuff. But by going to yoga, I actually missed like 2 hours of where I could be making money with my clients. And sometimes I miss the window, and sometimes my clients miss the window. And so that was kind of like a realization for me, where my time didn't kind of like work out. Like my masculine energy got me to go work out. I'm thinking I'm helping myself, but maybe I wasn't. And I took my focus off of my money. So my masculine energy took my focus off of my money, and my feminine energy as a result could not receive. Mind-blowing stuff, okay? This is all mind-blowing stuff. So another aspect, I hope I'm making sense, because it's like a lot of different symbols and figures in there. So another aspect is the home. So the home is a big thing, because when we dream about our homes, we're actually coming back to our primal roots. And I feel like in a lot of cultures, the home simply represents the place where we go and find peace before death. And it's not that I'm going to die or anything like that, but we are in Pisces season, and we're about to close out a major cycle when it comes to Saturn and the sun and other planets that are stepping in from Pisces to Aries. So it's a big cycle that's coming to an end. So a lot of deep transformation. So you could say that I'm my soul is craving to come back to its home where it feels safe and protected and at its sanctuary, and where all my primal needs are essentially met, in order to go through this death and transformation. It was also dark in the home, so it kind of suggests that I was going into the most deepest shadowy aspects of myself, the parts of me that I keep hidden. What I found interesting was that there were two men there. So it was like I have two masculine personalities in which come into conflict with each other and keep me from deciding. And this is just coming to me right now because I'm at times I could be a little bit undecisive. And I was actually, yesterday I was driving to yoga or whatever, and there was a winter storm and I was late. Okay. And I got stuck right there in like traffic, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to make a decision right now, because if I don't, I'm gonna be late. And like my decision was to just do a UE and park on the side of the street instead of going to my usual parking spot and then wasting more time and waiting for the cars to move. And I realized in that moment that I paralyzed myself. I'm a Libra, so we're naturally quite undecided, but that at times actually affects me. So it keeps like this paralysis in me because I don't know what to do. And it's almost like the two masculine energies were in conflict, and it keeps me from being focused. Because in the dream, I was like, first focused on that masculine who was eating my food, and then I was focused on the other masculine who was not paying my rent. Yeah. And as a result, I blamed them for me not having focus, and I threw out the leftovers of my food. So I actually threw out nourishment for myself to keep myself fed, symbolically. So once I made the decision, I realized, okay, 7 to 1, like Libra's 7th house, first house is Aries. 7 to 1, I realized I have to embody my Aries, right? So we're going into an Aries energy. I have to embody the energy of self. And paying rent is an independent act. So it was very much like individuality, independence, like establishing that sense of independence within and creating that rapport with my inner masculine. Like, hey, I need you to get on board with me. Like, I can't have you pushing me to start early when I actually need to sit down and nourish myself and rest. Obviously, this inner conflict, it's not meant to be like a psychological sickness like bipolar disease or multiple personality disorder. But in a spiritual sense, we have multiple pieces of different personalities within us. And when it comes to the yin and yang inside ourselves, you know, my masculine and my feminine energy at times have opposing forces in which are in conflict, which is natural. So naturally, I understand that as this unconscious masculine part of myself, or it could be that he's conscious, but his ego and his pride, which I have gained from other masculine examples in my life, struggles to provide my feminine energy the needs in which it needs to feel nourished, safe, protected, and the opportunity to heal. So this dream is just like absolutely like transformative. And I actually got frustrated because I was reading through like all the dream meanings, and I'm like, oh my God, when am I gonna get like an empowering dream? Because I'm having so many dreams where I'm going through this major transformation, you know, because I'm so driven in my life. And it's not, you know, I was actually watching this Buddhist video just now, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not because I want more, it's because I want to maintain, but also because I need to maintain, but also because it's my passion. I'm finally living my dreams, and it's like I just want to keep living my dreams at my fullest potential, and I have so much energy to do so. So my masculine energy inside is just excited, like he's excited to get started. But my feminine energy is like, oh, we're not there yet though. Like we need to stop and heal and nourish ourselves, etc. Like I need you to be a little bit more patient. Like everything will be here when we've completed the cycle. And so I'm realizing now that I have to like take a full-on break, and I'm actually going on vacation next week and everything. So so that's the dream. I think that I covered everything there. I was also thinking that maybe refusing food or not eating was also symbolic, but I feel like I covered that because it indicates avoidance of growth and change. So when I'm throwing the food out into the garbage, I'm not focused because of my two masculine energies that refuse to pay rent. And I'm like, you can't live here if you're not going to pay rent. I'm a single person. I actually live by myself, but symbolically in the dream, my masculine energies are taking up space in my apartment, not paying rent. And being irresponsible and not nourishing me like I need to be nourished. And so refusing the food or like not eating and throwing it out in the garbage it indicates avoidance of growth and change. And again, we may be attempting to isolate ourselves from others or be in conflict with ourselves over our body image. I mentioned this actually in the sexual healing video. That was the previous video in a different kind of form. You guys can watch that and see, but it's kind of interesting how those two different types of dreams and two different forms bring out the same meaning from my subconscious. So this part right here, I kind of thought about this morning. We may be attempting to isolate ourselves from others to be in conflict with ourselves over our body image. Isolation, I did that for a long time as I was healing from my early 20s to from my early 20s unconscious kind of spree in life, and then to my late 20s to my 30s I was awakening and I was starting my healing process. So I went through a very solo independent journey because everything kind of became internal, and I started to heal internal. I went to nutrition school, I went into Reiki healing, and then I did my Reiki 1, 2, and 3, and tarot reading, astrology reading. I became a psychic, a spiritual advisor, and I started yoga. So there was a lot of like meditation and mindfulness and energy healing that I dived deep into during my healing. So I didn't really seek out external energies. I wasn't very social except with my clients online or like in person with my clients, but that was about it. When it came to being very social with friends or like family, I was a bit solo, and I still am. I had to establish my own security, inner security. I don't mean just like financial security, I mean like inner security, like my value, my worth. So this isolation, like I'm actually coming out of my shell now. I'm doing the complete opposite, and I'm trying to create this kind of community online, speaking up and being on video and kind of showing people who I am and what I do and why I do it, to connect more with my clients, my customers, but people also outside of me who might be doing or feeling the same thing that I'm feeling or going through. And I've become more social and outgoing. I actually spend more time with friends now, and I connect and I do more things and more with friends and family, and it's just because I feel more secure and stable. So this kind of refusing to eat does kind of come out a little bit more. Conflict with ourselves over our body image. I had body image issues when I was younger. I don't anymore. I find that I do still pull some pieces of that pain from the inside deep within. Like at times I do catch myself, but it's not common. Sometimes, like I get a zit here and like a zit there, and I become a little bit self-conscious, but then I overcome it and I face myself. Or like if my teeth aren't like perfectly white or whatever, then I face that stuff too. But those are like kind of the only slight body image issues that I may have. Also, when I was very skinny, you'll see in my other channel, Rosebud Holistic Health and Fitness, you'll see videos of me being really, really small, and then some videos you'll see me being like bigger and bulkier, like I've gained weight. And so when I was smaller and I was recovering from my knee injury, I wasn't really working out, so I lost a lot of weight, I lost a lot of muscle. And I was a bit self-conscious about how small I became because it was quite unnatural for me. And it reminded me of when I was younger and I had a little bit of like a eating disorder. And you know, my small frame a few years ago, it wasn't based on that. It was actually based on injury and me not being and having a fast metabolism and me not being able to keep up with my workouts and kind of build muscle. But I've actually grown since then. Now I'm stronger and bigger and all that stuff. But I had a little bit of like a body image with that. I was a little bit ashamed or afraid of judgment. So that's probably also the refusing the food there and throwing it out, like the avoidance of growth and change, and maybe that kind of perception within. But I feel stronger now with that. So I feel like that was maybe a small little aspect being pulled out of my subconscious to heal when it comes to the masculine energies that were not paying rent. So that's the dream. Video went longer than I thought. All right, thanks, bye.